Sweat trickled down my neck, tickling as it made its way to the seam of my blouse. A single bright stage light burned into my eyes, reflecting off the marbled floor of the tiny studio in Bandra. I could vaguely see the outlines of the jury behind the glare. Miss Fernandez, lips pursed in crisp disapproval, and Mr. Iyer with his fingers steepled, waiting. Behind them, I saw my mother's red dupatta draped across her bony shoulders, knuckles white where she gripped her purse. There was also my uncle, arms folded, mouth a thin bitter line. Everyone sat, thin and expectant. I tried to remember my first step. Ria's voice from rehearsal echoed. Across, come up and glide show your elevation. But my legs felt disconnected, heavy as if someone had poured lead through my bones. The music began, takadin, the tabla a stutter in my heart. I raised my arms for the opening pose, a trembling arc, and shifted my weight forward. My left foot faltered. A ripple went through the room, sharp as a whispered insult. I tried to recover, but the beat slipped by. I stumbled again. My right sneaker caught on the edge of a loose tile, and I pitched forward, arms windmilling. Gasps and a stifled laugh from the far corner, someone's cousin. I recognized him vaguely from family puja. I tried to improvise, but everything blurred. The music was already ahead, and my heart tumbled after. When I should have spun, I hesitated. I heard my uncle. Just stop, he muttered under his breath, enough for the others to hear. My breath thickened, tears threatened. I finished the routine, barely, a limp finish, flat palms and dropped gaze. The music cut out. The room sank into silence. Miss Fernandez set her pen down. Priya, she said, an edge to her voice. Perhaps ballet is not for everyone. Thank you. I stared at my shoes, scuffed and gray, and willed myself to stay composed. My mother avoided my eyes as I walked past her, and my uncle was already shaking his head, murmuring to the others in Marathi and English. Even the children in the back row, those whose recitals I'd attended and clapped for, looked through me as if I were a smudge on glass. Outside, the monsoon was about to break. The air was thick, pressed flat by clouds swollen with promise and threat. I pulled my dupatta tight and let the mutters chase me out onto the street. That evening, arguments swelled in our flat above Gurudev Taylor's. My uncle's voice cut through the steamed air, stronger than the sizzle of mustard seeds in the kitchen. See? Embarrassed herself and the family. You call that dancing? He snapped, his eyes flicking to my mother. My mother sighed, kneading the soft dough for chapatis, her fingers twisting with worry. She tried, nah. She practices. There's practice, and then there's... My uncle couldn't finish, disgust curling his words. I didn't move. I had perched on the stone steps next to the small temple, listening as dust and shame settled over me. You think maybe you'll get used to it, but humiliation is fresh every time. It burns differently. Inside, I could picture my sister Naina rolling her eyes as she texted her real friends, the toppers and ABA pursuers. I'd caught her mimicking my posture, my clumsy pirouettes in the mirror only days before. Barely a week later, it started. My uncle told my mother I needed to focus on employment, that the white girl dreams weren't for us. Dance doesn't feed anyone, he said. Only 2 kinds of girls danced for a living, and neither were invited to family weddings. His words stuck, barbed and raw. They echoed in every room of our house, and in the quiet too. When my mother chewed her chapati in silence, or when my father, always away driving taxis, stared into his teacup and said nothing. I stopped dancing in the open, moved my practice to the roof only after midnight, shuffling through the slats of moonlight, praying the neighbors wouldn't peek up and jeer. After my failure at the recital, nobody asked about my progress. They only asked, Beta, have you thought about accounts? Or, How is your English shorthand now? Like the dream had slipped behind a curtain, out of sight. But dreams don't die just because you stop speaking of them. I worked in a telemarketing office for 2 years. I answered calls, repeated scripts about personal loans, argued with angry customers from Andheri to Pune. The fluorescent glare made the days unbroken, a kind of bright fog. At night I came home, studied choreography videos with the TV volume barely above mute. My phone was full of downloads, footage from festivals, ballet competitions, awkward homemade clips filmed in the bathrooms at the office when no one watched. Dancing wasn't something I could explain, not really. The feeling when your body unspools, the air humming in your chest, each beat like an apology and a promise at the same time. Even when my mother scolded me for wasting time practicing, my own skin ached unless I moved. One day, on a rare Sunday alone, my uncle and cousins at a wedding, my mother out for groceries, I danced in the hallway. I let myself go, full music playing, counting along. Afterwards, sweaty and smiling, I posted a short video online, more for myself than anyone else. 2 days later, a message appeared. Love your form. Want to audition for assistant choreographer? Small film. Can pay little? Interested? At first, I thought it was fake, a spammer or a cruel trick, but the sender was real. Reshma Khan, a choreographer whose angular movements I'd admired in more than one independent video. She invited me to an audition in Chembur Tiny, spare studio, 6 mats and a mirrors, all stacked under the weight of hope and ambition. My voice shook as I gave my name at the front desk. Inside, nobody knew my family. Nobody whispered. I was just another girl in track pants, waiting for her music cue. The routine was sharp, a mix of hip-hop and classical, footwork trickier than it first seemed. I fumbled slightly on turns, but caught the rebound. Eyes steady with something I hadn't felt in a long time, courage. When Reshma clapped at the end, her smile was tired but genuine. Decent. I can work with you. You'll learn. That was all. It felt like finding cool water in a long, parched summer. My first gig paid 2,000 rupees, less than a week's calls at the telecenter, but they paid it in cash, folded in an envelope. I bought sweets for my mother, a bright red lipstick for myself. I smudged it and wiped it clean, then applied again, just to have something bold reflected back at me. The next few years spilled out like loose change. Dancers' life in Mumbai is not like you imagine. There's sweat, cramped studios, cheap food, and endless waiting for callbacks. Sometimes we practiced from midnight till the mosques called prayer. Hours in rented rooms so hot you could smell the mildew on your shirt. Sometimes I was backup, a blur behind leads and extravagant sets. Sometimes I designed routines so basic nobody could screw them up. But slowly, the jobs got better. I learned to teach. I started uploading more clips, found a small following. Children came for lessons, and their parents paid on time. I tasted recognition, just a flicker, but sharp as spice. After my first festival win, I called home. Amma, we won. First prize. There's a video I can. She was quiet. That's good, Priya. Her voice was stiff. Battered by unsaid things. Just stay safe. That's how it was for years, my success. Held at arm's length. As if the world didn't quite want to claim it. Sometimes at night, I dreamed of the way I left. Sneaking out at dawn with my dance bag. Praying the neighbors wouldn't gossip. The throb of my heart overlapping the morning mantras. I'd call home on festivals and birthdays. Some relatives were politely indifferent, others outright cold. Still doing dances? My uncle sneered when my sister handed him the phone one Diwali. Very modern, very brave. Yet in the city I belonged. My breath came easier. I learned to find beauty in creased flyers, practiced routines on platforms waiting for delayed trains. Then, the video happened. A music video choreographed and performed by me. Just a small indie release. But the lead actor posted a clip on Instagram, and it caught fire. Thousands reposted. Somebody tagged a TV producer. And suddenly, I was in demand. I gave interviews. I said words I practiced about finding yourself, about how dance is expression and discipline and the transcendence of struggle. I started getting bigger offers. I saved enough and rented my own small studio space. The sign on the building read, Priya's Studio of Movement. My mother never visited. My uncle told the neighbors I was working somewhere in film. But change came faster than I could believe. An ad agency wanted a modern, local campaign. Bollywood producers asked if I could train their next debutante in classical fusion. The world shifted ever so slightly until one day a friend from school sent me a message. Saw you on Colors Marathi. Big things. It wasn't exactly what I'd imagined years before on that painful stage. It was more and less. I returned home the year I turned 30. A wedding. My cousin Kirthi's was the excuse. My mother insisted. Come, at least for a night. Kirthi wants you to do a dance. Please. I said yes before I could overthink. The cab ride to our building was a shock. The old tailor's shop now fixed with LED lights, the lift finally working. On the landing, the door was open.